Everything Old is New Again is sponsored by the Law Office of Douglas Viviani. Douglas Viviani has been providing quality legal service for over 26 years. We're a general practice firm and can handle any legal matter that you may have for a reasonable fee. If you were involved in a car accident, starting a business, planning your estate, or need a criminal attorney, please call 631-681-1910 or email us at vivianilaw@aol.com for a free consultation. Get the justice you deserve. Contact the Law Office of Douglas Viviani at vivianilaw@aol.com.
Remember the deeds you have performed, the labors you have accomplished. Now, tell me, who are you? I am Hercules!
How do you follow that? I am Douglas Viviani with David Cohen on Everything Old is New Again. We're discussing Hercules. There's been 29 movies. There's a Marvel comic superhero that's been around for at least 30 years. There's a TV series that was on the air with Kevin Sorbo, something like 8 years. There's a Disney movie. And this year alone, there are 2 additional movies. One's already played.
Two movies.
Yes, in 1 year. Competing for your education, your entertainment dollar. There's not much education in the Hercules genre, I don't think, and that's with The Rock, and it came out about a month ago on July 25th. The most famous Hercules actor, if you remember this fellow back in the 60s, was Steve Reeves. He played Hercules twice. He became, as a result of this character, playing it in Hercules Unchained and the sequel, the #1 box office star in 25 countries. Not in the U.S., but in 25 countries. You're right, but it was something. And then U.S. producers approached him to be James Bond in the first first James Bond movie in 1960, and he said no.
He said no to Dr. No.
He said no to Dr. No, and
Why?
then, because he wanted more money. Then Clint Eastwood, or I should say the role that Clint Eastwood eventually took over in Fistful of Dollars, was offered to him. Again, a career-making movie in the U.S., and this fella said, nah, Italians don't really enjoy Westerns, like not even thinking that, gee, there are Americans or anybody else could, enjoy that.
Wow.
Wrong again. So this character, not only is the character of Hercules not too sharp, neither is
Steve Reeves.
Some of the actors, yeah.
Is Steve Reeves still around? Will he come around looking to kick our butts because of how we're putting him down, or is this a long time ago?
And he's probably about 90, and he probably still could.
If he played Hercules, yeah.
He came down to the studio here and took a look.
Mandelbaum. All right.
Well, I have a little tape here just to give us a little history of the classic Greek story. I've got an old newsreel from ancient Greece going to give us a little idea of what is the real story of Hercules anyway.
Hercules, born of Zeus and Hera. Hera was upset about the infidelity of Zeus when she finds out that Hercules is not her son. In time, makes her son insane, and Hercules kills his own children.
Unreal. There's another part of that story. I think that I'm just going to hit the play button on this one as well. There's more to this story. What happens next?
Hercules undertakes 12 labors to purify his soul, kills or captures 12 monsters. Later joins Jason and the Argonauts for the search of the Golden Fleece, and undertakes many other adventures alone, all involving his strength and his courage.
Who said the ancient Greeks weren't smart? I mean, they had tapes. It must have been unearthed, I guess, in the archaeological
Where did you
digs.
find that?
Hey, listen, I do a lot of research for this show.
It's like Movie Tone News for the ancient Greeks.
Question is, what's the fascination with Hercules? And P.S., why doesn't he really get any press? I mean, he's not in the mainstream.
Especially because he was pretty studly, right? He had like 40 or 50 kids with 4 different wives, or at least 4 wives.
Yes.
And almost all of them were boys.
Yeah. A very virile individual. Let's listen to the old Hercules from Hercules Unchained, Steve Reeves himself.
I tell you, Hercules, it must be Antaeus, son of the Earth Goddess. When he touches the ground, he marshals his forces.
So that's it. Then I'll change my way of fighting.
I mean, this is the turning point of Hercules Unchained, and some other schmo's got to tell Hercules, by the way, the guy you're beating up on, every time he gets, thrown to the ground, he's coming to get back up because he gets strength from the ground, which is kind of ridiculous to begin with. That happened, by the way, when Godzilla battled King Kong. That's what happened to King Kong, if you remember.
I don't, but I'll take your
Just a
word for it.
crossover there, just so you understand. But
Right.
why is this Hercules stereotyped as this big, dumb, muscle-bound, freak that has to have a sidekick all the time that tells him, by the way, punch this guy, not that guy, or this guy's getting, keep him up in the air, don't let him hit the ground because he gets strength from the ground. I don't know what goes on.
Does he? So he has a sidekick, Hercules.
Most of these movies, he sure does. Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we'll talk about his sidekick in a few minutes. I've got a whole discussion of that, which is quite interesting. But before we get to that, I just want to take a look at some of these actors. This is not a part that has gone unnoticed by Hollywood. Peter Lupus, if you remember this fellow from Mission Impossible, he played Hercules. Arnold Schwarzenegger played Hercules in New York in his first movie. Lou Ferrigno played Hercules in 2 films, and they dubbed his voice. I don't understand that one.
Oh, I saw a clip of that. That's sad.
Well,
That's sad.
yeah,
for Lou Ferrigno. I mean,
back in the 60s, they dubbed a lot. A lot of the actors were Italians. They were Italian,
right. But Lou Ferrigno wasn't Italian. Well, I mean, he wasn't from Italy, but they dubbed his voice because if you watch the clip and you hear the voice they dubbed over him, it's hilarious.
I guess the dubbed in Italian accent is better than his normal accent. I guess
That's
what
they figured.
It's bizarre. I don't know. I think that the character is not so likable. He's got a huge ego with tons of muscles, and he's quite a ladies' man. He's kind of like that guy that you see that back in the day here on Everything Old is New Again. We do talk about the past as well, and you see that old commercial where in the comics where little scrawny little guys on the beach and this big muscle-bound guy comes along, kicks sand in his face, and takes his girlfriend.
Right, the Charles Atlas ads. Right?
That's Hercules.
Right. Yeah, that is Hercules.
So, I mean, why is this so interesting? I think they tried to make him interesting in 1962 with the Three Stooges meet Hercules. And I have to tell you, I do a lot of research for the show. I tried to get an actual clip from that movie that was funny. There weren't any. It was perfect for the Stooges because all they did was beat each other up, so to speak. So Hercules joined in on the fun. But I think the only thing we could say is that the most successful Hercules to date, maybe this movie will do something, but were the legendary journeys, they called it, of Hercules. Kevin Sorbo's version. I guess he was on the air for about 5 years. Let's listen to a little of that. Yeah, that's inspiring music. To me, that would be perfect for a Broadway show. Continuing our discussion from last week, Hercules, the Broadway musical. Inspiring and classical. But I think the reason why Hercules was successful in that genre, or that remake, if you will, is because that Hercules lost his ego. He didn't brag around. He didn't revel in his conquests. He wasn't married. He had no kids. It was a whole different vibe. What do you think is going to happen with this new rock version of Hercules?
Well, I mean, The Rock, what's his name? Darren Johnson or something like that.
Yes.
I don't know. But it's funny how they get these guys who are kind of like real life Hercules to play Hercules. Why is it that every big guy is portrayed as being dumb, stupid? I mean,
that's Go ahead.
I mean, even I mean, I know this isn't real life, but so what? It is to me. Dr. Bruce Banner, right? He becomes the Hulk, right? Doesn't any intelligence from Bruce Banner transfer to the Hulk? No, it just disappears. So I don't get the whole thing, and I don't know why they have to portray him as big and stupid. I think that's one of the drawbacks to why everyone hates it.
I agree.
Or we hate it.
I think we could probably come up with a better version of Hercules. We'll probably do that in the second half of the show here. We don't have enough time to do it right this second, so stay tuned for that on Everything Old is New Again. By the way, if you missed any of our prior broadcasts, feel free to tune in on our broadcast on our website at everythingoldisnewagain.biz and throw us a couple of emails. Let us know what you think. oldnewagain@aol.com. Remember, when you listen, we are going to start the arguments you're going to love to have. And so I think you'll go to the barbecue and talking about Hercules and why he's successful.
Have you seen the trailer for the new Hercules?
I have, and it's a lot of production value. But here's if you're a half god and I don't know, growing up, nothing hurts you and you can lift up, huge amounts of weight and so forth. In some way, wouldn't you feel you're something special? This guy doesn't know, even in this new movie, that he's half God until someone tells him so. Bizarre.
And by the way, if you watch it, he's the only one that doesn't speak with a British accent. Because, I don't know, I guess he couldn't get a vocal coach or it was too hard for him to learn. But everyone in the movie is speaking with a British accent, which is a whole other thing whenever they do these period pieces.
Yeah, it's
like
always
Hercules.
the British is the one that is the evil, the villain, the evil king in this one. It looks good. I actually am going to see it on video or CD when it comes out. I'm not paying for it, but I'll sit and watch it. I'll get a kick out of it for a little while, but I think it's just blood and guts, just battling back and forth, show me your muscles, and it doesn't do much for me, quite frankly. So we'll go out just for a few minutes here for a commercial break and come on back, continue our discussion of Hercules. Why is he even
What you folks
around?
need is a hero.
Yeah? And who are you?
I happen to be a hero.
This portion of Everything Old is New Again is sponsored by ResumeDrInc.com. When you're seeking to change your career, apply for a promotion, or trying to find a job, your resume is the first thing that's seen that represents you to a potential employer. Make sure your resume makes a clear, concise, and professional impression of who you are so you can get that job interview. Send your current resume to ResumeDrInc@AOL.com for a free online review. You'll receive a timely reply with a reasonable quote to properly prepare your resume. Let them make sure you have a resume that will get you noticed. Send your resume or questions to ResumeDrInc@AOL.com. That's ResumeDrInc@AOL.com.
What you folks need is a hero.
Yeah? And who are you?
I happen to be a hero.
Coming to theaters.
Get your sword!
The hero is only as good as his weapon.
Walt Disney Pictures presents Hercules.
Yes, that's the Disney attempt to promote Hercules, which, again, I like the concept in the beginning of this type of a story of a hero that has a lot of strength, but Popeye had a lot of strength and was more interesting than this character, I think.
I think so, too.
Back to the idea that he's not so sharp as presented. In Marvel Comics, they went along with that as well, and they literally teamed him up with the seventh smartest man in the world. He's actually a boy. He's a teenager. And that's his sidekick. And eventually, that Amadeus Cho is his name.
How is he this? There were six smarter than him, I guess?
Oh, you don't know this?
No.
You're not familiar with the
I'm
Marvel
not.
comic version? See, this is why this show is so great, because we'll have to talk about, in Marveldom, if you will, who are the seven smartest men or people in all of Marveldom. Who would be a guess? Let me put it this way. Reed Richards is number one from the Fantastic Four. First of all, he calls himself Mr. Fantastic.
But so this is a formal list.
It's a formal list that
compiled-
he created that is in the comics. Of course, he's a fictional character, but he's creating a list of who's the smartest. So
He puts
of course,
himself
he's
number one.
He's
Right.
number one and calls himself Mr. Fantastic.
Right.
So clearly that's number one. His arch rival and arch nemesis, of course, has to be number two. It can't be from some other character or some other character's arch nemesis.
Right.
He's the smartest, so his rival's got to be the smartest. Who would that be? None other than,
Doctor Doom.
of course,
Tony Stark's got to be on there, right? He's
Tony
pretty
Stark
smart.
is Iron Man, which he built the Iron Man suit.
Right.
And we've seen the movies on that front. He's the third in all of Marveldom smartest man. Then
What
they've
about
got,
Bruce Banner.
you
Is he
spoke
on?
about Bruce Banner, not as the Hulk, but as Bruce Banner. He's there. Then there's T'Challa, who's the Black Panther. You really got to be a aficionado to know who that is. So we'll just say that's that. It's a whole other show as to why that character is not so popular. Then there's Spider-Man. Peter Parker is number 6.
Really?
Because if you think about it, he's created that
The spider sense thing?
No, he created the web. In the
Oh.
in the comics, the web is a formula that he creates, and it's just a mechanical
I see.
device that he uses. In the
Okay, that's pretty smart.
yeah, so he's done that. And then there's this Amadeus Cho, and then there's this fella called Hank Pym, who was the original Ant-Man and original Giant Man in the Avengers, and he's a fellow that created the how do I describe this? The next villain that's going to be in the Avengers movie coming up, which is a robot. So he comes back from in Marveldom being kidnapped, and he's off on his own, and everybody thinks he's dead. he comes back, and believe it or not, there's a whole series of comics where he gets upset at Reed Richards at this list, and he says he is the seventh smartest man in Marveldom. So they have a little, little
and
fight
not
there.
not Amadeus Cho, the Hercules side. Okay.
So this is really thrilling, scintillating stuff. But that's what's happening.
But Hercules has a sidekick.
Hercules is a sidekick.
Tells him what to do.
Right, and he battles through his difficulties and his trials and tribulations. But be that as it may,
so did Amadeus Cho have any say over becoming Hercules? Like, why would he want to do that? What? Just
I guess it's for the publicity. What else could it be? Who else knows who this guy is? I don't know. They don't discuss that. They just
say why.
He's just there to help
Just
him
drew
out.
the short
I
straw.
think that we can do better than this. I think you and I can create a better version of than Marvel did, than anything in the movies that you've seen, than the movie in The Rock. I mean,
right. I mean, I was thinking it would be better to make it a little more modern, right? To put Hercules in the world today, and let's see what happens to him. Just get him more current. You know?
Yeah, I think the greatest foe for Hercules right now is a good story at this point. So let's try to improve on that. I think the writers of this character miss a beautiful opportunity in my world by just focusing on this character's strength. He could, be and stand for more than just being a strong dude, if you will. He's presented as a half god and not so sharp. I think what we could do is have him live in a bad area, and he's not really focused on himself and his strength, but his idea is he wants to use whatever he has upstairs, if he's limited or not, to teach others in his area, the underprivileged, if you will, in his neighborhood, how to overcome obstacles.
Oh, so maybe he's a little mentally challenged in today's world.
Okay,
right,
yeah, all right.
And he doesn't know. Maybe he's a half god. Could that be?
Absolutely. Why
he's
not?
Just very strong. He doesn't understand
bullets
the
bounce
concept,
off him and stuff like
which
that.
Which explains why he's quote unquote, not the brightest person in the world. I mean, it's a deficiency. Okay,
right, but not something he can't overcome because he's strong, he's powerful,
right.
he's got
so that's
certainly an ego.
That's a good start to a story.
I think so. I think why not? Maybe he's then called upon to help one of his kids, one of the parents of one of the kids. And, there's a struggle there. The parent gets involved somehow. I don't know. What do you think?
So in other words, he's sort of like teaching. Maybe he's a teacher and he's in one of those.
Like a two-to-time or something, whatever.
Right. Special needs kids. He's teaching. That's good.
That's good too.
Yeah,
all right. Sure.
Right. So so go ahead. So one of the parents, I guess.
So the parents get into trouble. Maybe something like a victimless kind of thing, where they broke his leg. He had to go on a painkiller, oxycodone or something. And over time, that painkiller he's become addicted to that, like others have. The parent has,
right.
And now gets involved with borrowing money from the mob or something. Oh. And as a result, is like kind of like this little kid says, "My dad's really in trouble here. Can you help him out? Well, I know you're strong. Bullets bounce off of you. The whole thing. What can we do to help out Dad?
Well, maybe he doesn't know that bullets bounce off him yet.
Could be. Yeah.
And he goes and helps, and maybe the mob shoots at him, and
he eventually has this huge, this battle, this physical power that he has,
right.
Which he reluctantly uses, doesn't like to do it, but rounds up this mob and does good with that. But at the same time, that's just kind of the beginning. I think that at that point we've got to struggle. Not just talk about a superhero that's strong, but this guy wants to help in the long run. His thought is, and I think it's a good one in some ways, is that I'd rather not help the people that are in trouble now because my time is limited. I want to help these kids so that they gain confidence, they gain education, they gain a skill, they gain something that they can do.
So he's getting all this publicity, right, for battling the mob and having a bullet bounce off him,
right?
And he's being urged to continue, right?
Right, and he's saying, no.
Right.
I want to.
That's cool.
I want to approach this where I want these kids to learn from me and learn to use whatever intellect they have, limited or not. They are of value.
Oh, and
not go down a bad path.
And what about if the kids? So let's say now that he knows he is half god, right, and it's out and around, maybe the kids start pushing back on him a little bit, like, hey, Mr. Hercules or whatever his name is going to be in the movie. Right. You really aren't one of us, are you? And so maybe he's losing their trust as well in that struggle.
Which could then, I'm just thinking out loud here, that could be something where then another parent is in trouble and because he now has a strange relationship with these kids to begin with, and it started as a result of helping the first parent because his powers became evident. He wants to teach, not fight crime, if you will. So he goes ahead and says, "No, I'm not helping." Again, going on my theory is, I want to help the kids before you got to start somewhere, and I can't.
So he has a choice, and he
limited
picks
time.
the kids.
Right, I pick the kids.
Okay.
I want a limited amount of time. I can't be going, doing this. And that parent passes away as a result.
Oh.
Now he's got a quandary for the rest of his life and the rest of the movie and the series of movies, because there'll be sequels to this one.
Of course.
Will I help? Will I
many
not help?
sequels. Right.
We should contact somebody about
I
this.
think we're onto something.
Right, but isn't that like that?
It's much more interesting, right?
But it makes him lovable, and so
you want to root for him.
You understand that he's trying to do good, and he's scarred from his own power, and that gives him, we all have stuff like that where we have the ability to do something, but we may not want to do it.
Right.
For valid reasons.
Right. And what a great role model for any kid to overcome the obstacles he has, being being a little mentally challenged. Let's just come out with it and present the character for who he is. I think people would appreciate that. And it's inspiring.
And not everybody's a genius. And you know what? You still can be, quite successful. I think the inner struggle that Hercules has, what we've just discussed, would be something that easily can be presented. By the way, I think this show, by airing it, gives us the copyright to this idea, because everyone knows we just came up with it.
I was going to say, this is sounding good. What if somebody just takes it?
Yeah, as a lawyer, I would say we're good, unless someone else can prove that this idea came to them before the date of the taping or airing, if you will, of this program. So we're good there. I don't know. Give us a call back or an email back and let us know. And everything old is newagain.biz. To me, Disney says it best, right, as the status of this character now, why we don't love him.
If you had to describe for the audience at home in 10 words or less, why should they see this movie?
Hercules is big. It's epic. It's in 3D.
Don't do anything foolish.
And it's fun.
Where are you going?
To do something foolish.
That's The Rock, and we're going to go see you next week. That is the best we can do with Legend of Hercules.